Tennessee, Florida. Trevor, which team impressed you more, Tennessee or Florida?
I got to go with Tennessee. I thought there was really bright spots on both of these ball clubs, but Tennessee at home, obviously you've got the home field advantage, but at home, they found a way to win. This is obviously a big-time rivalry game.
Yeah.
Between
they've lost a lot.
That's right. Against, two head coaches that haven't necessarily been there for a while. Obviously, down at Florida, year one, Billy Napier, Josh Heupel starting to build a culture there at Tennessee. I got the opportunity to be around Coach Hype a lot my first 3 years of college. Thank the world of him. But it was really neat to see the way that they just kept battling and using everything that they could to their advantage to come out with not a little win. That's a huge win in conference. So I was impressed with Tennessee, and we will see if they can ride some of that confidence, that winning confidence here as they go through the East.
Coach Sumlin, what do you think? You come up more impressed with Florida pushing the ball down the field vertically, which they hadn't done in previous games, or with Tennessee being able to get the job done and finally close the door?
I'm more impressed with Tennessee because, everybody wants to talk about, every game's different, every year's different, right? But if you come into that game, Tennessee has not had the success against Florida that their fans want, right? So there's added pressure. I don't care what anybody says. The last year does matter. And it's not more than a year, decades, right? Even back to Peyton Manning, right? And then the Coach Spurrier making jokes about Tennessee in the offseason, right? It's been going on for years. But, I was more impressed with Tennessee, like Trevor said, because to close that out and in a situation like that on national TV, big time stage, two things I took from it, right? I took it, that Josh Heupel almost got my toast this week because that's a tough situation. It just is. It's a great place, a great atmosphere. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. The other point that Trevor brought up, if you're in the SEC, whatever league, but in the SEC East or West, a division win is like a game and a half, right? So if there's a tiebreaker in the end, right, and whatever happens with Georgia happens with Georgia. Whatever happens with Kentucky happens there. But you got another step on that deal. So that was a huge game for Tennessee.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a huge game because now Tennessee, the reality of it is Florida's already lost to Kentucky and to Tennessee.
That's right.
Which means you said a game and a half. So they got to climb 3 games up.
That's exactly right.
To get to where they want to be. You know what? Coach Sumlin, give me a quick hit on Anthony Richardson. And then I want you to talk about Hendon Hooker because I think he might be a guy that's emerging as a Heisman candidate. But were you surprised seeing Anthony Richardson throw the ball, push it vertically more?
I was. I mean, because we all know what kind of talent he is, right? Sure. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the country with his legs, with everything he can do. To see what he did in the passing game was he's taken a step. But again, in games like that become that close, quarterback play usually is the difference in the game. Not the last play of the game, but to go ahead and win it. And I think after Saturday, you can honestly put Hendon Hooker in the Heisman Trophy race. I mean, up there pretty high now. I mean, he's emerged in a big game as a guy that can do that. He's got to put another one or two of those together to get there. But I think he's legitimately a candidate for the Heisman.
Trevor?
Agreed there. I think an interesting stat with this game that you see every so often, but not necessarily in a game like this. The quarterback on both teams was obviously the leading passer, but they were also the leading rusher in the football game. Incredible. It speaks a lot of the athleticism of these two quarterbacks, and it's very apparent. Coach, you mentioned it. Anthony Richardson is a freak of nature. Now, if I was coaching him, and I haven't been around him, I don't know how he responds to the playbook and the game plan and how he prepares throughout the week. But to me, he looks a little overwhelmed. I don't know if they're trying to put in too much. He's still technically a younger guy. I would say, man, this guy's got all the tools. Let's dumb it down a little bit. Not a lot. And this isn't a knock on Anthony Richardson. This is just saying, hey, I want you to use your athletic ability 100% and not have to think so much. It looks to me like he's thinking a little bit much out there. And that's why we're seeing a little bit of inconsistent play. Now, Hendon Hooker, Josh Heupel has found a way to make this guy confident, make big plays with his arm, make big plays with his feet. He is a weapon on that offense, and every defense that they go up against to this point, and certainly now throughout the rest of the season, is going to have to circle him through every single practice on how do we stop this guy through the air, on the ground, across the board.
All right, so Trevor, I'm going to throw this right back at you, and Coach Sumlin, I want you to get back in as well. I was talking to Clint Sterner and talking to Christian Hackenberg on Saturday, I believe. Monday, Saturday. I can't, the days all get confused to me. But here's the reality. I was talking to them. They said they love that Tennessee forces you to declare. With those wide splits, they make the defense declare, which they think makes things easier for Hendon Hooker. Florida keeps things tight in and tries to confuse the defense. Napier he tries to confuse the defense, but Richardson still has to process what they're doing because are they playing man or are they not playing man? I don't know. Like, what are we doing? Where am I going to put the football? Start with you, Trevor, because going from experience, and then start with you, Coach, going from a game plan standpoint. Are we going declaration or are we going confusion?
Again, I think this is dependent on your quarterback. I was a guy that loved to know what the defense was doing prior to the play so I could remember what we studied that week, remember the look, and then go beat it, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I could dissect a few things here or there, but I was a much better player when I was free and easy from the mind. It was spread out. They declared, like you said, and I could just go attack that defense. There are quarterbacks out there and really good ones. Hey, let's muddy everything up. Let's confuse them. And I'm just going to find the hole because I've got great eyes. I've got a better understanding of the game of football. I studied harder than you, and that's just the way that my mind works. And so I think as a coach, going back to the coaching side of things,
right.
You've got to figure out who your signal caller is and how that works. That being said, you're going to be asked as a college football quarterback, and certainly at the next level, to be able to do a little bit of both of those things,
sure.
Right? Hey, let's spread it out on a couple plays. They're going to show their hand and let's go beat it. But now let's get some motions in. Let's stay in the same personnel and switch up formations. Let's do some things that confuse them. And I'm going to ask of you to read this out and find the open hole. So, I was more of the, hey, show your hand guy, but it's got to be a little bit of both.
Coach.
Yeah, there's no two guys alike, right? Every year and every week, people want to compare quarterbacks. Well, systems are different. And then I think to Trevor's point, as a coach, you're trying to find the best matchup for your quarterback, the best offense to give him the best chance to be successful. Because if he's successful, the team's successful. So,
yes,
I don't know. It just looks to me, and I agree with you, it just looks to me like Anthony Richardson, and that was the knock last year, right? Is he getting any better? Well, it's hard because he's got a new coach, right? So you've got different systems. He's still young in that process, and I think that shows. The other, you go back and hype is that they were number 7 in the country. Tennessee was last year in offense, on total offense. So, the system there, it works. And I think right now what you see is Hendon Hooker feeling really, really comfortable in that offense in Tennessee.
Right. No, I think he's super comfortable as well. And I'll say this, and I will, every time I talk about Tennessee, I will say this. The way that their receivers react to catching a pass, it's not them standing up and going, first down. It's them standing up and going, where's the referee? Here's the ball. I got to go get lined up. They're a part of the machine, and I think they deserve the credit as well.